Right, I see we're live.
Okay, we're live.
All right, sorry for the mask. I'm in Pima County and we're under all kinds of COVID orders right now because the numbers are going through the roof. It's 10:05 and this is a special meeting for a budget study session with
9:05.
He's 1 hour ahead.
I know.
10:05 here, 9:05 there. Thank you. And both boards have been invited to this meeting, and we'll start with a roll call.
Rich Brossman.
Harry Andrews, District 4.
Todd Fisher.
John Crawford.
Bruce Ansel.
Jason Vanderveen.
Sean Ward.
Chris Parks.
And then we have viewing also Local 106.
Yep, Kenneth Cunningham.
And I see Jenny's here as well. And we have heard from Commissioner McMurray. She has a work commitment that she can't get out of. And we have not heard from Dave Hansen or Mark Chamberlain. So I am going to turn this meeting over to Chief Vanderveen, since you guys can probably barely hear my muffled voice anyway. So, Chief.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the 2021 budget study session. I appreciate everybody being here. This is a little odd, and doing this over Zoom. The only experience I have in seeing these before has been live, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. I'm going to do the best. Things we've always been able to put on a giant screen for all of us to see and have reams of paper have been a little challenging this year. So, like I said before, the open invitation to meet and go over this stuff line by line if you'd like to. So we've had some challenges in 2020, COVID not being the least of them. The other is, a transition in leadership and kind of me taking over a partially done budget. I've done the best I can to make the budget quote unquote my own this year, with realizing that 2021 is still going to be a topsy-turvy year with COVID and RFA planning, and not really wanting to keep things kind of status quo and not do anything big and exciting this year in anticipation of a new department in 2022. And so really what I hope you see in this budget is, like I said, status quo, some increases that we've been able to count on in wages and benefits, also some increases in the training budget. But for the rest of it, it's pretty much, it's kind of, I've tried to clean it up, and Benita and I have tried to clean it up, I should say. As our relationship has developed with District 4, and as we move forward to an RFA, we're trying to make District 4's costs more clear for both entities. And I guess maybe fair would be the right way. So right word to use. So you'll see in there that I've, the word cutouts has been used a couple times this year, and I've really tried to do that. Make the District 4 payment. I've picked up, and I'm hearing that there's been some concerns about what is District 4 paying for, and I've tried to make that really, really clear and hopefully fair. This comes after a couple meetings with Commissioner Hansen and Commissioner Ansel, where the three of us sat down and talked about, how are we doing things, and what is District 4 paying for. So I've tried. Let's see what you guys think. The budget, we have a meeting next week to approve the budget, or I can keep further refining it if that's your wishes. So as you go through the packet that Jenny sent out, you'll see the first page is a budget summary, so you can see what 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, kind of how the budget is developed. and certain and the big line items, I guess you'd say, in those separate divisions. You'll see that the base budget has grown over the years, and I am using I don't want to say more transparent, but what I'm doing is showing all the revenue that's coming in, and then budgeting under that, and then budgeting with those funds. If there's savings, then it goes into savings. If there's not savings, then we run a zero balance based budget or pretty close to it. That's how I'm comfortable doing it, and the counsel I've received from other chiefs and commissioners and finance people are telling me that that's the best and clearest way to do budgeting, as opposed to budget for the savings in front and then work downwards towards that. We all know that we have a lot of things that have been neglected over the years, whether it's facilities or apparatus. We've got to start hitting and working on some of those items. Otherwise, our infrastructure is going to crumble, and we can have the greatest, most well-paid people in the world, but if they don't have any rigs to respond on, then we're not going to be able to complete our task. So, moving down into the next page, it's the budget comparison fund totals, and page 1 is going to show revenue. And like I said, the reason, if you look at the first line for the current year taxes, the reason you see the large jump in what we're expected to get in on taxes is because I'm just reporting to you what the county expects us to get. I'm not holding out any savings in the beginning. As we move through there, the highlighted pieces for revenue are the typical grants, leaseholders excise tax, transport fees, which you can see have come up. So in, like, take 2019 for example, Fire District 21 was expected to get $360,000 in transport fees. Fire District 4 in 2020 was expected to get $45,000 in transport fees, $50,000 in transport fees, and both are exceeding their expectations based on just higher call volumes. And significantly for District 4, what you're seeing is the auto aid agreement with Bellingham. Station 12's calls and transports have increased enough that they're seeing a significant revenue increase in transports.
Hey, Chief, just clarification. Am I messed up on the years at the top of the chart? When we're talking 2019 and 2020.
I'm just seeing that here. Hang on.
I mean,
let me. Oh, shoot. Okay, sorry.
If you go down to, if you go down to the bottom.
Hang on. I'm getting steered right. There we go. So if we go to page 8, sorry. Page 8 is where I wanted you to look. No, that's not it either.
No.
Shoot.
Go down.
There we go.
Revenue.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
Thank you, Benita.
I'm a little nervous here. Yeah, Benita's helping me. So if you go down to it, there's the typical bias page of the budget comparison total. So go past page 9 to the next page 1. And this is where doing this on computer is going to be hard compared to paper.
Jason, is that this page that says revenues on top?
Yep.
Right.
So this comes out of bias. Okay. So
And Jason, real quick, the numbers from the county are not finalized, correct?
correct. They
Okay.
won't be finalized till late December, early January.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
These are the budget numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are the, I'm sorry, these are the budget numbers we created. I'm sorry. So these are the budget numbers that we created based on past experience and looking at that previous page. Does that make sense? So what we did was we took the numbers of the revenue that we had received up until it had last been reconciled in October, divided everything by 10, and then times it by 12 to get to these numbers where we're at today. Does that kind of make sense?
What page are you on right now, Jason?
Sorry, sir. I am on here. Let me share my screen.
I think it would be page 12 of our packet. Page 12.
Oh, 12.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we're on page 12 here. So if you go to this is the page, this is the last page from bias. And this is the next page is what we're on here. These are my this column here, the total budget. This right hand column is the total budget. This column on the left, what you'll see as we go down, this is going to be how the District 4 payment was calculated. And as you follow along, you'll see here how this works. So this number here, this 6.446 is the projected revenue from the county for Fire District 21. We have a couple of Washington State grants, Department of Health grants, some timber harvest, some leaseholder excise tax, the District 4 contract payment, as I've calculated it, this is the budget study session. The contract fees from the school districts, from the state parks. Also, this 13,000 is from the casino, the Nooksack Casino. Projected ambulance transport fees for District 21 and District 4. Anything you see highlighted here has been credited either credited to District 4's contract payment or pulled out of District 4's contract payment. So investment interest, apparatus repair service. This is our contract with the City of Linden. Reimbursements, reimbursement for the paramedic overtime, which carries forward into next year with 2 more people going to paramedic school. Miscellaneous rebate payments, that's from credit card rebates. And proceeds from capital asset sales. This is a low estimate based on what we've seen over the past 5 years. Okay, so I have budgeted.
Jason, is that like surplus equipment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. This year was higher because we sold some old tenders and some old ambulances. You know, we can't do that every year, so I'm not expecting a ton of revenue from things like that. So here you can see the total budget total revenue. As we move down into the administration division, once again, these yellow, when we get into expenditures, anything that's in this yellow, and I apologize for it not being darker or more yellow, but that's what color came out. These are items that are being withheld from the District 4 payment contract calculation. We're which is something that Commissioner Ansel and Commissioner Hanson and I had discussed. So you can see things like commissioner meetings, Regional Fire Authority Committee meeting, reimbursement to the commissioners has been held out. PFML benefits, which is the state benefits. It's not much, but it's being held out. I would like to draw your attention back up to salaries for administration. For the admin salaries and the mechanics, I have factored in a 3% wage increase. They received, the group received nothing last year. There was no COLA increases last year. 2 employees did get raises, but the mechanics and 1 other administrative employee did not get any sort of raise last year. So I factored in a 3% for everybody, which falls in line with what the bargaining unit got. They did not get the same raise last year as the bargaining unit. Factored in some overtime increases in, actually decreases in L&I. Our L&I rates went down. Our medical and dental, there's a slight increase in that. It's 2.5% was the increase in the the left trust benefits. That was their calculated increase across the board for all people in the group. These are just the what you see from commissioner or PFML benefits, meetings, RFAC. From there on up is just administrative salary costs and salaries and benefits. Below is where we get into the operational costs of the administrative division. So really, if you
Jason,
yes, ma'am.
can we ask questions or at the end or in between or?
Commissioner Hanson, you go with that?
You know, if there's a specific thing that comes up, we should probably try to take a look at it while we're here.
Okay, it might be easier just because this is kind of confusing with it on Zoom. What was your question, Chris?
I was wondering about the retired left 1 medical dental. Is that something you would take out of the District 4 cost since it's for left 1 retirees?
That is something I think we should discuss, definitely, because that was a District 3 employee.
Yeah.
Prior to the contract with District 4. So I will discuss that with Commissioner Hanson and Commissioner Ansel.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up. So once we get into the operational costs, really everything stays the same, with the exception of, you can see again, audit fees have been cut out of the District 4 calculation. But really everything is going to stay status quo, which was the discussion I had with our board chair. Yep, I'll get there. And then I've reached out and contacted hang on. Oh, there's one other that should be cut out here. So I see a goof here. So if you go to professional services, administrative and legislative, in the 2020 budget, that was $55,000. That is fund. Those are funds that are used for typically contractors that come in and do things like they might do teaching, or more specifically, unfortunately what we use it for is funds that are used for personnel investigations when the unfortunate case arises where we have to do one of those type of things. This year, that has also been used in the 2018 budget, that was put in there for the ESCI. In the 2019 budget, that was in there for the ESCI report. I rolled that over last year with the intent of using it for the RFA study. That's what I've done. But in order to be more clear, and Chris, I've got a note about this.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on that one.
No, what I've done is we've created a new bars number, and you see right underneath that, you see professional services RFA.
Mhm.
There should also be a cutout from the District 4, because the commissioners of both districts have decided that the RFA costs will be paid 50-50, and that way we're capturing money or funds for District 21 that are not being paid for by District 4 to go towards that RFA payment, or towards the RFA consulting fees. So I apologize, that should be highlighted as well. I will rework the calculations and make sure that has been pulled out of the total District 4 number. I believe it has, but I'm not sure why it shouldn't be in this column. So I've got a note to research that. But other than that change, there's really almost no increase, with the exception of professional dues, administrative and legislative, because the Washington State Fire Commissioners, their dues increased pretty significantly this year due to not being able to have their conference. So other than that, everything is pretty much status quo as far as what we did last year. The election costs, we increased those to $30,000, as we're going to have 2 elections in 2021. That would be Commissioner Crawford and Commissioner McMurray. So we went back and looked at what District 21 had spent for last time we ran 2 elections, factored an increase, and put that number in there.
Can I ask a question, Jason?
Yes.
About the professional dues that you just mentioned. I budgeted in the District 4 budget for the professional dues for the state commissioners.
Yeah.
District 4 pays a share of the District 21 dues, or how is that split up?
So if District 4 is going to pay their own, then we would have a discussion about cutting that out as well.
Okay, yeah, I put them in the budget, to
Okay.
can go either way. I can take them back out of the District 4 budget, or you can go ahead and adjust that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Jason, just for clarification, I think during our discussions with Commissioner Hanson, that we agreed that each district was going to pay their own professional dues, et cetera. So I don't know if that 6,500 is a combination of both districts total, or if we separated that out.
I got to admit to my brain being a little jumbled this morning. I'll have to.
I think this question is appropriate, since if District 4 is figuring to pay those expenses on theirs, either our number should be smaller or that number should be highlighted.
Yes. I'll like I said, we'll send that an update. That's why we're doing this. We get more out of it.
No. It's a work session, so.
All right, so that is the complete administrative division budget, operating expenses. Move down to the big dog here. Operations division. So this is the big one here. So salaries for operations. This factors in a 3% contractual wage increase. And this includes 4 new hires, which will fill out our organizational chart. 4 new firefighters. So total of 4.525 million for salaries for operations. Volunteer salary, 25,000, and division chief operations, 120,000. This year also I've included, Benita and I broke out the cost of the longevity education and SCBA incentives, which is something new in the contract. It's new in the contract last year. It was not expressly budgeted for, but we felt like it was important enough to break that cost out so that we can see it. It's just more transparent. Out of class, overtime, I'm going to take a risk and leave overtime at the same budget, even though we blew it this year. I feel with the way we've got the bargaining unit more in doing some help with scheduling, and also with the additional hire of four FTEs. I believe we can keep pretty close to that. Not. Also, I'm hoping with. Sounds like we're getting some good news about a possible COVID vaccine. That may, I'd expected that to take almost a year to trickle down to us, but I'm thinking we actually may get a vaccine for our folks a lot quicker. Obviously, compliance will be individual at this point, but I'm hopeful that our people will be interested in doing that, and we can reduce some of that, the overtime that we've had for people being out based on exposures. So we also factored in the sick leave buyout, which is not something that's been, or put in the sick leave buyout, which is not something that has been put in there. And then you can see the deferred comp numbers for the bargaining unit. Our L&I costs have gone down. Medical and dental have stayed relatively flat. Like I said, a 2.5% increase there. The VIBA line here, I'll put my cursor right there, the VIBA line. So that is for people that opt out of healthcare. We have a provision in the contract. If someone is able to prove that they have healthcare through their spouse, they can opt out of healthcare, and they receive a payment every month that goes into a medical expense account that they can use for medical expenses, but it saves us the cost of insuring their entire family or family and themselves and their spouse. So life insurance, disability insurance, most of these things stayed fairly flat. Our L&I costs went down a little bit. And then after that, we get into the actual operational expenses. So uniforms for both operations and volunteer. We did do a slight increase in uniforms in the Cintas rental of uniforms, but as far as things like t-shirts and boots, things are staying pretty flat there. Immunizations, we bumped up a little bit. We're unsure as far as what the costs will be for, or if there will be any associated costs with the COVID vaccine, but we did increase that a tiny bit. The EAP costs were flat. We increased operational supplies for EMS by $5,000 just based on expenses. We are able to capture some of that back through CARES funds because there has been, I would say, a significant increase in what we're paying for PPE. But like I said, we have been able to get some reimbursement through CARES funds, and we'll continue to pursue those. Protective clothing, we're going to keep that flat. We have, there's a slight increase in the FARS assessment and the SERP assessment. We've not been told, we asked and have not been told about any increases to third-party billing, which is good.
District 4 and District 1.
And that covers both District 4 and District 21. I'm just now realizing I may have to revise this number based on GEMT stuff, but let me look into that and get back to everyone. That we may need to create a separate bars number for that. Chris, you understand what I'm talking about, Commissioner?
Yes, I know what you mean. What do you think the cost is every year for the GMT processing?
Number 20 and 30 both stick in my head, so I'm not prepared to give you a
Okay.
a good number yet. So let me do some research and find that out.
Okay.
Um, and really, other than that, just like I told you earlier, really just trying to stay status quo with things this year as we prepare, as we ride out the COVID pandemic, and also really as we work towards forming this RFA. We don't want to make any giant changes to things. Not that there's going to be, hopefully not a new administration, but just a new board, and we're creating a new organization. So we want to kind of keep things steady as she goes until we get to that point. The next is the Fire Prevention Division. And here you can see a lot of cutout, with the exception of CPR. We left that in there as a cost share because we would obviously offer District 4 do some CPR classes. I do have budgeted in there a fire marshal, which would be a bargaining unit position. This would be to replace a division chief level person. This will be in the bargaining unit. They will be an inspector and plans examiner, and also working with our mitigation funds that we bring in. There's overtime, a little bit of overtime calculated into that, and then their medical insurance costs. And then really the division was built out quite well this year as far as operational costs. So we're still looking at, we still have some things down here, like for training and professional organization stuff, items, the annual bicycle rodeo. I'm not changing. I didn't change too much pub ed stuff, pub ed costs, based on the fact that we hope things will open up, but we're not. I know that there's been an interest by the board to increase our pub ed, and I just can't see us. I can't plan on that this year. So the costs there remain pretty flat, actually reduced based on only having one individual in that office. And again, as you see, all of it's yellow. It's all cut out of the District 4 division. Oops. Okay, hang on a second here. I gotta.
That was fun.
Yeah. Not sure what that was.
So, hey, Jason,
Yes, sir.
you've got control of my screen here, obviously, but when I look at that document and you're talking about what we increased or decreased, that's not easily visible for us. And I hate to create more work, but could there be a column of what we did last year versus what the proposed is on one sheet? Can that sheet be modified, to suggest more work?
Well, that's fine. That's
Unless I'm the only one I get it. We're kind of staying status quo, but when you say, hey, we increase this number or decrease this number, I can't see that.
I can as I was putting this together, it made sense in my head, but I can see all these things physically, and I'm realizing now as I'm doing this that this is probably not very easy to follow on computer. So yes, I think we're gonna have to do some work to give you some updates over the next couple days so that you can see things, so you can see what's happened in the past, where we're at this year, and what we're planning on doing next year. I totally understand, and I see that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to
No,
more work. I think it would just be easier for us to see it, and then also for the rest of at least our board. because this is a guessing game, and because we're still under COVID, and because we don't know where the end of this game is going to end, the fact that we have a proposed budget doesn't mean that it isn't subject to being amended either next year as numbers come in, the accurate numbers from the county, and or any significant changes that may occur to our operations based on sort of what the condition of the medical community, et cetera, is. So, we're asking you to predict the future, and none of us are capable of doing that. But I just maybe for the rest of the board to understand that just because we do look at this and approve it, it doesn't mean that it can't be adjusted as dynamic as things seem to be.
Absolutely. And I thank you for saying that. And that was what I have that on my list of things to kind of say at the end, that this is my best guess. Yeah, it can be amended at any time, and I'm not so proud as to bring you an amendment in February if I'm way off. So I know that may be maybe not the way things have been done in the past, but it takes a village to raise a fire department. So we'll do this together. But yes, absolutely, I will. It shouldn't take too long for us to prepare that so that it's more clear past experience, and then what I'm planning on for next year. Thank you for bringing that up.
And then just for the record, I see that Commissioner Hanson has joined us, so we can add him to our minutes in our roll call. Welcome, Commissioner Hanson.
Sorry for my lateness there.
Commissioner Hanson, just real quick, I'll share my screen again.
Was that the one that was up when I?
Yes, sir.
Sent it?
Yep. And what you're seeing here is anything in yellow is something that I've removed from the calculation for the District 4 payment.
Well.
So don't get excited. This is the biggest one.
Okay. You did a good job, Jason.
Yeah. So this, so anything you see in yellow, and I wanted to make sure that you know that if you want to get together, any commissioner wants to get together between now and next Thursday and go over this on paper where you can actually see and touch it, I'm happy to do so. So the next is the training division. This one is a little bit more robust. I added in the budget, I have asked to hire 4 new firefighters. We have in our contract, and we strive to always send our new people to North Bend to the State Fire Academy. There's been a little bit of concern over how healthy that is for our folks right now, based on COVID and how the academy. I know they're doing their best, but there has been some difficulties with. There have been some difficulties they've had kind of containing the COVID spread in the academy format that they're using. So I've actually budgeted for both sending people to North Bend and having an in-house academy that will teach to North Bend standards. I hope to have some clarification on this before next Thursday. I'm actually planning on having it before next Thursday, in which case these numbers will change, but I did want to put them in there. So just for clarification. So one of my focuses this year is to revitalize our training division. It's been pretty well decimated. We need to get that back up and running for the health and welfare of our folks. Excuse me. So you'll see the training captain's wages, benefits, all those things down to down here really to where we start into operational supplies. Not a ton of changes in the operational supplies, those kind of things. Where you'll see changes is in the cost of instructors, bringing in outside instructors. And that's going to be a fairly significant increase over the past years. And you'll see it on the sheet I get you there, Commissioner Ansel, sorry. But this would account for bringing in the instructors to do a help with a firefighter 1, firefighter 2, hazmat operations, all IFSAC certified, as well as bringing in instructors and the ability to certify our officer candidates to the Fire Officer 1, Fire Officer 2 certifications, so that as we do a promotional process later in this year, we are making sure that we're getting vetted and trained officers into our organization. We're not just promoting based on a single test, which is kind of what we've done in the past. And the troops on the floor and I both want to see people, educating themselves and earning those certifications that prove they should be in the spot that they're in. So that's the cost for the increase in instructors. There's go ahead.
So, Jason, just to reiterate, the North Bend Training Academy issue is, our concern is that we believe they aren't taking adequate precautions against COVID that potentially expose our people to that virus. And the reason we're not sending them is because we don't want to take that risk.
Correct.
For them. So there is a health and safety reason that we are not sending them to the academy currently. Not that we won't, but until they can guarantee that they're taking adequate precautions. And I'm not trying to point fingers or blame anyone, but it sounds like they have not. We want to protect our employees.
Correct. We've worked really hard to protect our employees all year long, giving them the proper PPE, the proper training, the proper, the ability to get tested, to get their families tested if there was concern that they've been exposed. And it sounds like that the state academy's been falling short on that. And I'm not okay, and I don't think you guys would be okay with hiring new employees and immediately putting them at risk for a disease where we don't really know the long-term effects, and we don't want them bringing that home to their families on the weekends. And we've worked so hard to keep our employees healthy and safe, to hire new ones and then throw them into a situation where in the recent past, North Bend has had to shut an academy down due to the spread of the virus and so many recruits getting sick. So I need to make sure for myself that they've implemented health and safety things that they need to do to make sure that the recruits can be healthy and safety throughout the entire academy, as well as their families. And that's why we have this in here. It's just we just want to make sure. We don't want to put. I'm not okay with risking our folks', even our new folks, their health and safety. So you still see the cost in there for North Bend, for sending recruits up there.
And isn't there sort of a push, because multiple departments may be in the same situation, they may offer some sort of modified approach? I mean, I get that if they're getting brand new people off the street, but if each department is sort of putting on a mini academy and then they need or want the North Bend certification, is there a plan to maybe have a modified academy approach?
I haven't heard any things about a modified academy, but what we are hearing about and what the instructor, the line item for budget for instructors is that some people that have worked at North Bend for years and years have come up with a hybrid course, basically, where the instruction, the classroom instruction is provided online. The manipulative skills are done with your department, and then the testing and certification is done by this outside company. They come in and and certify that you are meeting the skills, the same skills that you would have at North Bend, that you would get at North Bend. The piece that really that we can't provide that North Bend does is the live fire experience hours in a extremely varied environment. The burn tower at North Bend provides training opportunities that really can't be replicated anywhere in the state, just based on the size of the burn tower and the different pieces, different scenarios they can put you through. And while we are definitely very lucky to have to actually have access to a burn tower for ourselves, with a single cell burn tower, we can't replicate what North Bend can do. And that's truly the value in that North Bend Academy, is the repetitions and the hours. You basically spend a third of your time up there in live fire, and that just can't be done anywhere else. So that's why we're hopeful for the in-academy experience, but we are coming up with a plan B, because in 2020 you have to. So,
I'm assuming there's probably several departments doing in the same position we are.
they are. We've reached out to them. It's mostly the bigger departments. I would call them bigger departments than us. We've reached out to see if we could piggyback into their academy, and their costs are quite high. They also have waiting lists, and they are the departments that are pulling it off are allowing departments from their counties first. The county we found most open to this is Snohomish County, and they've got a large number of paid firefighters, and they've already got 40 people on a waiting list to academies. But the cost of sending someone to North Bend for the entire cost, so tuition, lodging, food, is what it would cost to enroll them in their academy, and then we would still have to provide housing and food on top of that. So it may be cost prohibitive. And the other nice thing about North Bend is you get a basically trained firefighter back. There's no department spin on it. We start sending people to South County or to, the East Metro Recruit Academy. We're going to get back, which isn't horrible, but we're going to get back a Bellevue firefighter or an Everett firefighter, which isn't bad. It's just they have to learn the North Whatcom way. Whereas with North Bend, you just get a basically trained recruit firefighter who's kind of an open book, and you sprinkle in those things department specific, and ready to go. So, like I said, we will have clarification on this between now and next Thursday. So when I present the actual budget to you for hopefully passage, you'll be able to see the actual costs as opposed to what I'm proposing today. Moving on down, registration and tuition for classes is increased based on the fact that hybrid classes are finally starting to come out. We're starting to see the logjam break free. Companies are putting on classes. We've actually got a few people attending classes here in the next month. So moving on down to facilities. I heard you. You'll see the salaries and wages and benefits all cut out, all removed for 2021. We're working on that RFP that I was directed to work on for a facilities person. All these things, there's slight increases in alarm monitoring and sprinkler testing, as told by our security solutions, our folks that do that. Everything else is really staying the same, except for, let's see, where is it? I did increase custodial services so that we can get carpets cleaned at some of our stations that have carpet, because we've not been very good about getting that done. The other thing that you'll see here is where my cursor is, repair and maintenance of station. I've increased that number. What I did was I took we had previously, we had $75,000 budgeted for the facilities maintenance person. I wiped that out and added some money to repair and maintenance of stations, and then also added a maintenance service contract, which is what I hope the RFP will get us, that, you know, a private contractor to come in and do the work. That's a best guess at cost. That's based on looking around at, really, I'm not finding any departments that do this, but school districts are kind of what we're using for a template for this position. So
What was the closing date for the RFP?
we haven't printed it yet. We're still developing it.
Okay.
So I haven't even posted it yet.
Jason, did you take into consideration that District 4 has only 2 stations now?
Yes, I did, because the cost of Station 11 were pretty minimal. So I didn't plan much of a reduction. Like I said, I tried to shoot high on everything. You know, I know that gets complicated with the District 4 payment. And
Yeah, I was just wondering because District 4 has only 2 stations now that need like alarm monitoring or sprinkler testing.
Well, actually, it's funny, but Security Solutions counts the Station 12 campus as 2 buildings. It's not 1. So technically it's the same number. I didn't realize, I didn't quite realize that, but as I dove into what we pay, yeah, they really look at Station 12 as 2 different facilities. So yes, there is some reduction based on Station 11, but not a lot. So any questions on the facilities? Moving down to fleet maintenance. What you can see here is, you know, mechanic salaries, and to right about EAP is where we get into the actual operational supplies. There are slight increases, and I apologize that we don't have that page. Fleet maintenance, where you can see last year versus this year, but it's really the status quo. I didn't tweak gasoline or diesel. Our cost for gasoline has been pretty right on. Diesel, we're coming in far under this year in 2020, just because the cost of fuel has gone down. But this number was calculated during the bad fuel times, and I'm just more comfortable leaving that there where it sits. Training.
Here's last year's one.
No. That's the trouble with it. Yeah, we didn't get that on there. So, yeah, I think because we were looking at it. Sorry, I was just talking to Benita about the budget comparison. The first page, you know, it doesn't have the 2021 stuff on there. So we'll correct that and get it sent out. We have really big, we've created some new pieces or some new bars line items to kind of clean things up. Before we just had a communications bars number. And it was kind of everything that revolved around communications for the entire department got dumped in there. I've taken and created a mobile radio repair in the shop, and then in operations, portable radios, pagers are all different separate bars items so that we can track really what we're spending on different radios. Like I said before, it was just one pot, and everybody was pulling from it. So this hopefully will be more transparent. We have tires. We've increased our budget on tires. we increased that by $5,000 just based on the fact that what we're discovering is that a lot of our tender groups tires or the tender tires have not been ever changed. A lot of them are the original tires they came with. And so we've been replacing those just based on years of service.
Hey, Jason, when we get a chance, can you tell us, or maybe you know who our vendor is for tires?
Les Schwab.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
I couldn't give you that answer.
We need to shop for vendors.
Copy. Specifically in tires, or do you want us to shop for all vendors?
Well, I'll talk to you later, but we're paying way too much. I just found out how much we're paying for apparatus tires at the airport, and it's a lot cheaper than what I'm saying one of our vendors.
Okay. Yep. Absolutely. We can. I welcome any suggestions.
Okay.
Who do they use, John? Do you know?
Well, we get a state rate, and I'm trying to figure out why the fire district isn't getting a state rate as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the drill down on this page. I think it's great to be able to track these individually.
Yeah, everything was really lumped together, and I understand that, you know, especially I remember Chief Fields' budget presentations and the number of bars items, and I didn't want to go back to that, but I do think that we need to have some more. Things have been compressed too far, and I don't think we were not able to figure out. We were spending a lot of time going back into bias and looking and seeing what did we spend this on and where did it go, and it just needs to be a little bit more open so that we can see exactly what we're spending things on.
Right.
We did put some increase. We did increase the repair budget for engines because of the age of our apparatus. And that's kind of it as far as the fleet goes. Capital projects. This one, I don't have this ready for you yet. This will be an update that I'll send out. This was an old page. I actually should have pulled it out and I didn't. So I'm not asking to spend another $650,000 on breathing apparatus. We spent $650,000 on last year. So this was my mistake. There are some capital expenses, mostly in the shop, as well as I would like to budget for one more new ambulance. That would come out of capital apparatus. Although I think I don't think we can transfer GEMT funds into that capital apparatus to pay for that. So as I'm sitting here, I realize now that I don't have the GEMT fund breakout that you'd asked for. Let me do one more thing here. And that is, I'd like to show you something in bias. Are there any questions on what I just proposed, on what I just went over? I know it's hard to do this on Zoom. It's interactive, but it's not interactive enough. I've got your list of questions down here. I'm happy to send out updates. And like I said, meet with any of you that would like to meet so that you can go over it. I'm fully expecting to have every single commissioner, with the exception of Commissioner Ansel, through here over the next week. I also want to thank you for your patience as I do this, because
Hey, Jason, do we want to maybe take a 5-minute break? We've been at this for over an hour now, and maybe DJ
Yeah, good idea.
I thought it had only been 5 minutes. Yeah.
go out the water and I can rinse out my mask and
Felt like only a couple minutes to me. Yes, absolutely. Let's take a break. I'll go ahead and pause the recording.